All right. Hey guys, my name is Brandon. I'm here today to talk to you about my salvation testimony in Jesus Christ that happened about 20 years ago. I'm going to first talk a little bit about how I grew up and my life before Jesus Christ, and then I'll get to my actual salvation moment and my life after Jesus Christ. So I grew up in Newcastle, Washington. I did not grow up in a Christian household. Although my mom was raised in a Christian home, my dad was not. So I can remember going to church a few times as a kid, kicking and screaming. I did not like going to church at all. I hated it. And I only remember going there a few times because once we got to, I don't know, probably age 10, we stopped going altogether. So a few memories to kind of pinpoint you how I was as a teenager. I would say around age 11, so actually even before I was a teenager, you could really see the satanic nature that I had really started to flourish in about 5th grade. So this is before the internet, before social media and all this stuff. I would, steal clothes from the store, baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards, candy, all sorts of things from stores. I would treat my friends, good, and my family good, and even strangers. I was nice to strangers, but when it came to like big businesses or corporations or whatever, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I just felt like I could take stuff. So I would say 5th grade is when you really started to see that I was a child of the devil, because it's that simple. You're either a child of God or a child of the devil. So 5th grade, it started to really manifest. And then once I got into middle school, around age 14, 13, I can remember the first time I smoked weed. It was on a public bus with my friend Marcus, and we were going to the mall. And I just nonstop laughter and laughs and a good time. Sin is fun. Let's be honest. Sin is fun, but it has its consequences on the back end. So that's when I got introduced to weed, about age 14. And then in high school, that's when things really took off. And I was just your typical party kid, drunkenness, experimenting with drugs. Later on in high school, fornication, just the whole deal. So I was a year older than a lot of my friends. So I was kind of the first person to do everything, first person to get a car and all this and that. So I was one of the kind of one of the leaders, of the pack in a way. So a couple stories that got really, really, really bad. I'm blessed to even be alive today. There's many times I should have died, many times. So one example of that is I would drive from Seattle all the way to back home to Newcastle, which is about 20 minutes. I would drive over bridges, bridges over water and everything, and I be out partying with my friends, and I would be completely blacked out drunk. And I know that because I would drive from Seattle to my home in Newcastle, and then I would wake up the next morning and call all my friends and say, "Hey, who drove me home?" And they would be like, yelling at me like, "You idiot, we drove you, or you drove yourself home, but we tried to stop you because you were blacked out drunk." And so I would be laying there in my bed just thinking to myself, wow, that is, I mean, that is crazy that I'm even alive, because that's about a 20-minute drive, completely blacked out drunk. I have no memory of it, no recollection of it. And I did this a good few times. I never got in an accident once. I never had a scratch on me, nothing. So that was pretty crazy for that to happen to me. Another time, I'll tell you real quick, is we were at a party, and me and a couple guys, we all left the party to go to this girl's house. And when we were going there, the car, I wasn't driving, I was behind the driver's seat. The car completely, we were all, high and drunk and everything, just completely stupid. And the car started, including the driver, the car started spinning out of control, and we were spinning in the woods, off the road, in the woods, and the car just kept doing the 360s in the woods. I'm holding on to the driver's seat for dear life, literally, and I just put my head down, and I'm clenching my jaw, and I'm just bracing for impact, because at this point, spinning through the woods, going I don't know how fast, I'm hearing all these branches, all this trees that we're going through in the woods, and so I'm just like this, bracing for impact, and then all of a sudden, just wham, we smack into this huge tree, and I feel like dust, like dirt, fall on my head. And I look up, and there's this, hole in the roof, and the car is completely messed up. I turned to my right, and there was a girl with me, some random girl that I met at the party that was with me in the back seat. First day I ever met her. I turned to her, she starts crying, and then all I hear is a bunch of cop sirens, a bunch of sirens. And so at this point, I had a broken ankle because, and my ankle was in a walking boot, a cast, because previously, a few weeks ago, I got in a fight with my friend Jesse when we were all, drunk and high and on ecstasy. I mixed all three drugs together, weed, ecstasy, and alcohol. And I got in a fight with him, and he punched me, and I fell down a big hill and snapped my ankle. So here I am with a walking cast boot on. I hear all these cop sirens. I get out of the car with the girl that I just met that night, and she goes, "Hey, I have a friend that lives close around here. Come with me." So me and her just start running. We ran from the scene. The guy that drove the car and the other guys, I have no idea what happened to them, because I had just met them that night as well. So we knew we were all in big trouble. So me and the girl, we ran, and I'm hopping over fences with I forgot my ankle was broke because I was so scared because we were going to get in trouble from the cops. So we ran, hopped some fences, went through all these neighborhoods, and we just slept. I slept at this girl's friend's house for the night. So I heard the next morning that the guy that was driving the car, it was his girlfriend's car, and she was pretty upset. And it turned out they were all alive and everything, and they weren't really injured that much. But I was just your crazy typical kind of party kid. So yeah, so to get back to kind of the drugs and drunkenness and fornication, the point of that is, before Jesus Christ, yes, sin is fun. It is. But the price is not worth it. The price you pay is not worth it. Because you were always looking for the next party, the next high, the next time you're going to get drunk. I would always, the next day after the party, we'd talk to my friends, and we'd always wonder, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? So you're always looking for this new high, this new drug, this new thing. And so I was kind of an exhibitionist, as you would call it. One of my goals was to try every single drug once. That's what an exhibitionist is. You want to try everything. So I want to try everything once. I never got to reach that goal, praise God, because he saved me from a drug overdose, actually, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so that was kind of my life before Jesus Christ. Just typical party kid. So now how I met Jesus Christ is this. I was with my friends again, all high. But here's the thing. This particular day, I specifically told myself, I'm going to take as much drugs as I possibly can for this one type of drug. It was my favorite drug, because I was determined to meet God. I was determined to find God. Now, here I am in a lost state. I'm not a Christian, so I don't know any other way to seek after God than to take drugs to open up different parts of my brain to figure things out. This is how my mind operated because I didn't know any other way. Because I wasn't a Christian, but I was an agnostic. So I knew there was a God, but I didn't know who he was or what he wanted from me or whatever. So this particular day, I took a bunch of these drugs because they opened up different parts of my brain and I would, figure things out. So I ingested them. We all went to the mall, me and a couple of my friends. And in the middle of our day, in the middle of the high, this very terrifying feeling kind of came over me. And I told my friends, I said, take me home. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? We're going to go to the party. What do you mean, take you home? I'm like, yeah, trust me. Just take me home. I need to go home. And they kept trying to convince me not to go home. I'm like, trust me, I need to go home. I do not want to be around you guys. I don't want to be around anyone right now. Take me home. So they're like, all right. They're very bummed. They're very mad. They take me home. I go into my bedroom in my parents' house. I lay down on my bed. And at this point, I knew this is not going to be a typical day for me. Because now I couldn't get up out of my bed. I felt paralyzed. And never been paralyzed in my life. But I could not get up out of my bed, even if I wanted to. It was like I was paralyzed. I tried talking. No words coming out of my mouth. Silence. So I'm there on my bed and I'm like, this is it. My body is shutting down. I could feel my body shutting down. So I'm starting to kind of panic, obviously, because I think I'm dying. I know I'm dying, actually. Not think, I know I'm dying. So I'm laying there on my bed. All of a sudden, everything turns pitch black. Like, is darker than the country night sky. Okay? This blackness is an otherworldly blackness. It's like a supernatural black. I've never seen this darkness before. Everything, I can't even see my own hand in front of my face. Everything is that pitch black. And it was cold, not like a temperature cold, but like an evil type of cold. So this blackness was very evil, very cold, very dark, out of this world dark. And I start to sink into this bottomless black pit, this black abyss, this void, just this black nothingness. I'm sinking down into it. And as my body is sinking down deeper and deeper into this black abyss, it gets more and more evil the deeper I go. And now I'm really starting to panic. This is the most terrifying feeling I've ever had in my life, by far. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, my worst enemy. This was the most terrifying thing, but this is what God needed to do to get my attention. So for the first time in my life, I truly prayed to God. For the first time ever. That was my first prayer. My first prayer was simply this. Looking up, God help. In my mind, I can't talk out loud, but God help. Just 2 words, God help. And then I start asking God some questions because I didn't understand why I was dying at such a young age, 21 years old. This is the summer of 2004. I was 21. I start asking God questions. God, why am I dying right now? I'm only 21, and I start just going on all these questions. So everything turns from this pitch blackness instantly to pure blinding white light. The brightest white light you can ever think of. You guys can look up online, YouTube and whatever, near-death experiences. This is what I had, a near-death experience. And this blinding bright white light, when I was in it, you can't distinguish walls or ceilings or floors or anything. It's just pure blinding white light. That's all you can see. It's the brightest white light I've ever seen in my life. So I thought, because out of this bright white light comes a light that's even brighter. And this is what blew my mind because I was like, how is this even possible? Because this light was so bright. But this light that came out of the bright white light was in a silhouette of a man wearing a robe. I couldn't see facial features. I couldn't see anything else. I just saw a silhouette of bright white light of a man wearing a robe. and which I believe was Jesus Christ. But this man, this angelic being, was coming at me like this, gliding, like a conveyor belt in an airport. It was gliding towards me like this. And he comes right by my side, by my bedside. And he puts his hand on my chest. And he says to me these exact words. But I didn't hear a voice out loud like I'm talking to you right now. I heard the voice was like a soul-to-soul communication, like a spirit-to-spirit communication, like a mind-to-mind communication. And he said these exact words. Here I am, the one true God, Jesus Christ. Those exact words. That's exactly what he said. And at that very moment, I sat up in my bed, and there was just a whole big pool of urine all around me. And if you talk to any EMT, medical person, doctor, whatever, they'll tell you the first signs that someone is clinically dead is they lose all bodily function. So that's why I woke up in a pool of my own urine. I had lost all bodily function. I was in the process of dying. That's why they call it a near-death experience. So as I'm sitting up in my bed in a pool of my own urine, all these memories start rapidly firing in my brain. All these memories start coming back to me from my childhood and everything. And the first memory that sticks out in my mind is one Christmas. I was about 10 years old. My grandma, my mom's mom, gave me a blue children's Bible when I was about 10 for Christmas in the mail. She lived in New York. We were in Washington. This blue children's Bible, I opened it and I just put it in a drawer in my bedroom, completely forgot all about it. I just chucked it in there, never read a word of it. But this memory kept sticking out to me. And I look over and I was like, okay, that blue children's Bible is in that drawer over there. I get up out of my bed. I can finally move. I grab the Bible and I start reading the Bible for the first time in my life on my bed in a pool of my own urine. That's when I started reading the Bible. And because I knew at that point, okay, this God that I knew always existed, but I didn't know who he was, I now know who he is. This God is Jesus Christ. And something about that, shortly after that moment, I realized, wow, God has gone into my heart. He's reached into my heart and he's plucked out from the root. He's plucked out the desire to do drugs and get high. There's no desire. There's no struggle with that. He also reached into my heart and he plucked out the desire to live a party lifestyle, you know? But there was about, I'd say, a 6-month period where once a month, this woman would come over to my condo, and I did not cut her off, but I should have. But I'm telling you this because sanctification is a process, and I'm telling you this for all you Christians out there, my fellow Christians out there. What would happen was when she would leave my condo after we would get done being sexually active, I'm now sitting there, and these huge waves of guilt and huge waves of shame are coming over me, and conviction. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this feeling is brand new. I've never felt this in my life before. But the reason why I'm feeling it is because now I'm a new creature experiencing new sensations, new feelings, new emotions. See, before, when I was not a Christian, no problem. I could do whatever I want. No guilt, no shame, no nothing. I'd actually rejoice in it. Call my buddies, hey, you know. But, you know, when you sin as a Christian, you can never do it in peace. That's my point. You can never do it in peace. You may do it, but you will not be at peace when you do it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So my life after Jesus Christ, I'll just wrap it up by saying this. I'm not looking for the next high anymore, or the next party, or the next this, or the next that. I'm 100% fulfilled and content in Jesus Christ. Joy is permanent and forever in Jesus Christ. Fulfillment, peace, love, all those things that you guys may be watching this and maybe you're not a Christian and you need to get high, you need to get drunk, you need to sleep with as many people as possible. You're trying to fill this void inside of you that's never going to be filled until you give your life to Jesus Christ, until you repent and put your faith in Jesus Christ. That's the point. So my life after Jesus Christ has been nothing short of amazing these past 19 years, almost 20 years now. Joy unspeakable. I'm not looking for the next thing. I have the creator of the universe living inside of me by the Holy Spirit that he gives you. So thank you for listening to me today. And I would just say, seek the Lord while he may be found. Today is the day of salvation. Do not wait another moment. God bless. All right, so one story that happened that I want to mention after I became a Christian was in Hollywood. So I dabbled in Hollywood for about 4 years, 2005 to 2009. And this is a story about the spiritual warfare and the spiritual realm, how it is so real. And this happened back in, so this would be the year 2007. Yeah, 2007. So I'm at this agent's house, or not house, a warehouse. And, I was going on auditions for acting and like modeling stuff and all that. And this agent, I was at a warehouse with him and we were doing a photo shoot because we were putting together my portfolio for auditions and stuff. So the photo shoot was going fine. I had been a Christian for about 3 years at this point. And when the photo shoot was over, when it was all over, I'm like, all right, I'll see you later. I'll wait for for you to send me the photos and we'll go from there. And he's like, yeah, okay, good. And so I reach for the door handle to leave and walk out. And all of a sudden I see this hand an arm cross over me and push the door back shut. And I'm like, okay, all right, here it goes. Because you hear stories about Hollywood and, is it really like this? Is it really like that? And it is really like that. And so I knew something was going to happen. And before I tell that, he was a homosexual guy and whatever. That's how Hollywood is. There's a lot of homosexuals there. I don't hate homosexuals. I actually get along with them just fine, even though I don't agree with their lifestyle. But I was a Christian at this point, and he didn't know I was a Christian. So he thinks that I'm gonna just do whatever I need to do to advance my career. I know that's what he's thinking. So he shuts the door. I turn to him, and he leans in just straight to my face, and he tries to start kissing me. And his name was Oliver, and I back up and I say, whoa, Oliver. And I put my hand on his chest like this, and I said, hey, I don't hate you because you're gay, but I'm not gay, so this isn't going to happen. And I kid you not. So you all know, like the typical, stereotypical, flamboyant, homosexual kind of, attitude and voice. He had one of those voices and those mannerisms. Like, oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Blah blah blah. He's doing his whole his whole shtick, right? And I was like, all right, it's okay. I mean, all right, cool. I mean, it's just not gonna happen. He's like, okay. So I go to open the door again, and I try to leave again. He does the same thing. The same thing. His arm comes by. Shuts the door. And now I'm like kind of irritated. I'm like, wow, this guy really thinks like I'm going to do whatever. So I turned to him. I said, Oliver, I just told you this is not going to happen. And his voice and his mannerisms went from very high pitch and, all the typical gay stuff that they do, right? To a super deep angry, demonic voice. It went, fine, you know? It went from, oh, sorry, to fine. And his eyes just like, you could see the demonic rage in his eyes, and his whole countenance and voice and everything changed. And it was just like goosebumps right away. I was like, just kind of froze staring at him like, is this even real? Is this even happening right now? And I was like, okay, see you later. And I opened the door and I left. And then I called my friend, we had a mutual friend. And I called him up on the phone and I said, hey. And he's like, hey, how's it going? How did the photo shoot with Oliver go? And I said, it went good, but at the end, he tried this. And, and our mutual friend, he goes, oh, that's just how Oliver is. It's all right. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to work with him. And he's like, all right. And then I ran into this model that I did, this tall male model. And this was a straight man that I did a show with very recently. And he asked me, he goes, hey, Brandon, are you going to work with Oliver? I heard you did a photo shoot with him. And I said, no, I'm not going to work with him. But I didn't tell him, this other model, what Oliver tried to do to me. And I said, I threw it back to him. I said, well, what about you? Are you going to work with him? I heard you were, doing some stuff with him as well. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to work with him. And then there was a pause. And then he goes, but I didn't do anything with him though. And I didn't even mention what Oliver did try to do to me. And so that told me right there, oh man, this guy did sexual acts with Oliver just to advance his career. So that was back in 2007, guys. We know how Hollywood is now. Everyone knows how it is now, but it wasn't as known back then. But I just tell that story to say that as a Christian, there was no way I was going to do that. But my friend who was not a Christian, and I know a lot of other guys, they did cave and they did those things with those guys to advance their career. So got to be born again, or else you'll fall into all sorts of crazy stuff. So just wanted to share that story about God's grace and mercy and the supernatural realm that we're in, the evil spirits and the demonic spirits that are behind a lot of people. All right, take care.